busy one here in Providence because at City Hall in just about an hour there is going to be the hearing for the Fane Tower proposal, and I'd like to welcome in Brent Runyon with the Providence Preservation Society.
Thanks, Kate. Glad to be here.
Thanks for coming in. I know you were rushing off to City Hall literally after coming right here into the studio. Tell folks, give us a little recap as to where we're at in the battle and what tonight means.
Well, we consider it more of a conversation, right? The conversation is really about what's right for the future of Providence as far as development. But where we are in the process is that the City Planning Commission has sent a recommendation of no to the City Council as far as approving this zoning height change. So tonight the Zoning Committee will have a public hearing, and likely, possibly, at the Rise they will also have a meeting at which they'll take a vote.
Okay.
So there'll definitely be a hearing. There may also be a vote. We're not sure.
So how many folks do you expect turning out this evening?
We expect hundreds of people to be at City Hall, some inside, some outside. I don't know that the Ordinance Committee is going to let this drag on for hours like they do at the City Plan Commission. So I hope as many people who want to speak are allowed to speak.
And so talk a little bit, we've spoken with you about this proposal before. We've heard from folks in the Jewelry District, but talk specifically to PPS's concerns.
Sure. Well, we have a few concerns. Among them are the fact that the zoning guidelines were just put in place in 2014 after hundreds of hours of citizen input to raise the height limit on that site from 45 feet to 100 feet or 130 feet with bonuses. So that was a really important process to establish the vision for the future of the city, which will change in the future, but right now that's where the vision is. So that's a major issue. How does the City Council give favoritism to one developer for an extremely outside the zoning ordinance change? So that's a major issue. Another issue is the park, how the design addresses the park with this huge parking fortress above the park, which really signals to keep everyone out except those who can afford to live in the building. And then finally, a little bit outside of our purview, but one which I think all citizens of the state should be concerned about, is the fact that developers like predictability, and the city and state have put in place a lot of things to make the process for development in Providence predictable, especially in the 195 land, where the guidelines were put in place to speed development along. 12 projects have been approved. So there's one project that's not meeting the guideline. This is facing steep opposition. So if we want developers to come here, the guidelines have to be consistent, whoever they are.
So there's going to be the hearing tonight. Again, we've seen what happened at the City Plan Commission, and you talk about that, again, going well over and beyond the height limit. Would there ever be any, in your estimation, I know your views on this project, but any exception to the rule?
Listen, we love some of our local developers, but if they were coming with the same project on this site, we would oppose it on the same grounds. There are other places in Providence where you can get much higher buildings that fit into what the vision for the city is, downtown and along the 195 corridor. So it's really about the current proposal, not the developer, but the exact proposal that's before us. That's all we're responding to.
And again, you're not sure if this evening a vote will be taken or not. And so you said you expect the City Council, as you said, not to let it drag on to the extent that we have seen at other meetings. Have you had conversations with council members about this?
We've had conversations with nearly all of the City Council members. And we're optimistic that they will make the decision that's right for the city. Which is to uphold our standards and guidelines and make development predictable and allow development that is good for the public space and the public itself.
And so, as you said, with the vote possibly taking place this evening, this clearly is a pivotal moment. If it's voted down, does that de facto put an end to the project as it stands? Absolutely
not. The City Council asked for an opinion from the Ordinance Committee, and so any decision that's made will then go to City Council for 2 hearings. So we're urging them to speed the process along, not to delay it, in the interest of the developer and the public.
And if they were to vote in favor of the project, is there any recourse for PPS and the opponents moving forward?
I think it's incumbent upon all citizens of the city of Providence and the state of Rhode Island to let the City Council know that this project is not right for Providence in its current form. And so there will be plenty of opportunity to do that on the August recess, and then into September. We don't know when or if the City Council will take it up.
So we're looking at a bit of a protracted schedule here. Tonight is big on the calendar for both supporters and opponents,
Right.
but we're looking at several weeks to months before we sort of get a definitive vision for what might or might not take place.
That's right. There is one thing on the horizon, which is the 195 Commission has set a deadline of October 18th, I believe, for Fane to get all the approvals necessary. So that certainly is probably looming in their mind. We don't know if an extension could be granted, but that is a date that everyone's looking at currently.
And have your conversations been, as I'm looking outside at one of my future guests who's coming in here, for those folks who are in support of it, saying the city needs the vision, they need someone who's willing to put $250 million of his money on the line, and let's think outside the box. When you have conversations with supporters about it, what's that back and forth usually like?
Right, and it's interesting, some of our biggest supporters at PPS are in favor of this. But we don't always agree on everything, and we don't necessarily agree with the laborers union on this, although we do support them generally. Again, this one developer may get all the breaks needed to build this at the expense of the public interest, but we do think it will slow development down in Providence, or it will open up a Pandora's box that allows any developer to get any spot zoning or favoritism, which throws Providence back to the days when you had to basically purchase favors in order to get what you want. And we don't think that that's good for the future of Providence if we really want good development here. And we saw that in Dick Galvin's letter that came out today. You know, a major developer, a major investor in the city, he's not pleased by this potential.
And so let's talk, it's the last before I know you've got to get over to City Hall. It is interesting, especially in the realm of 195. The 195 Commission was sort of created to be this independent entity, and now we've seen the variances tossed back right into the city purview, which I believe it was intended to sort of leave that politics out at the outset. Are you surprised that this is the road that we've been going down here? Did you envision this when you saw the 195 Commission, that we'd be right back here at City Hall?
Well, it's exactly what you said, and nothing surprises us in Rhode Island or Providence. We're sympathetic to their position. We're sympathetic to the General Assembly and the governor moving this forward. I think that we're disappointed, as I think the City Council is, to have to actually deal with this, because the 195 Commission is supposed to vet projects on their merits, and it's incomprehensible that this one has advanced on its merits alone. So yes, it is disappointing, a little bit perplexing, but not entirely surprising.
Well, we'll see what transpires this evening. Supporters, opponents turning out again for the Fane Tower proposal at Providence City Council. We'll have more on Fane in a little bit, but we're going to take a little break here with our next guest from Providence College and a big national grant.